Before alarm clocks, before loudspeakers, Muslim cities relied on human precision to protect the fasting schedule. One of the most recognizable figures associated with Ramadan nights became Al-Mashrati, the pre-dawn caller tasked with waking households for suhoor before Fajr. While night watchmen existed early in Islamic urban life, clearer references to the pre-dawn caller emerge in the later medieval period, rather than the early Abbasid centuries. As cities such as Baghdad expanded between the 10th and 13th centuries, the practical challenge grew obvious. Thousands of residents needed a reliable signal within a narrow and shifting pre-dawn window. The solution developed at the neighborhood level. Rather than a rigid state program, many pre-dawn callers operated with local recognition and community support. Their timing typically followed mosque officials or trusted observers who monitored the horizon for approaching dawn. Precision mattered. A call that came too early shortened the night unnecessarily. A call that came too late risked confusion about the start of the fast. The method prioritized reach. The pre-dawn caller often carried a drum or used rhythmic knocking because patterned sound traveled effectively through dense streets. Some repeated short reminders to wake, eat, and prepare for prayer. Others added brief devotional phrases that residents came to recognize instantly. By the Mamluk period, roughly the 13th to early 16th centuries, the role is well documented in Egypt. Sources describe pre-dawn callers moving through residential quarters in the final stretch of the night, sometimes memorizing household names and calling out to families directly. The practice reflected urban maturity. Growing populations required shared signals. The position depended on trust. Communities expected consistency, stamina, and good judgment from the pre-dawn caller. Payment structures varied. Some neighborhoods collected small donations during Ramadan, while others offered gifts at the end of the month as a sign of appreciation. As cities expanded, the pre-dawn caller adapted. Longer routes demanded endurance. Weather sometimes softened the drumbeat. New districts meant unfamiliar streets. Yet the expectation remained steady. No household should miss suhoor simply because sleep ran too deep. The social effect was significant. Wealthier homes might rely on servants, but the pre-dawn caller ensured that poorer residents received the same warning. Suhoor became a shared urban rhythm rather than a private advantage. References to mechanical clocks appear in parts of the Islamic world from the 13th century onward, with more visible adoption in major religious complexes in later centuries. These devices improved awareness of the hour but did not replace the pre-dawn caller. A mechanism could measure time. A human presence could wake a neighborhood. Medieval chronicles preserve several stories that capture the unusual proximity between rulers and the pre-dawn caller. One of the most cited comes from Mamluk Cairo in the 15th century. As Sultan al-Zahir Jaqmaq is said to have heard a pre-dawn caller whose voice was so weak that entire streets slept through suhoor. Complaints reached the court. Rather than punish him immediately, the ruler ordered that the man be tested in an open square. When the caller failed to project his voice, he was reassigned and replaced with someone known for vocal strength. The episode reflects a practical concern. Ramadan discipline was treated as a public matter, not merely a private obligation. Another account from Cairo involves the Sultan al-Nasir Muhammad bin Qalawun. This was in the early 14th century. Chronicles describe the ruler moving through the city at night in disguise, a behavior attributed to several medieval sovereigns who wanted direct awareness of urban life. During one patrol, he reportedly encountered a pre-dawn caller who had fallen asleep before completing his route. The ruler woke him and reminded him that thousands depended on his reliability. By morning, the official responsible for that district was summoned and warned. Whether embellished or not, The story shows how seriously night order was taken in large capitals. Ottoman-era narratives add a lighter tone. In 17th century Istanbul, stories circulated of rulers rewarding pre-dawn callers who demonstrated creativity. One caller allegedly recited improvised rhymes that mentioned prosperity for the reigning Sultan Murad al-Rabi while urging residents to wake. The performance drew attention, and he was granted a small stipend increase. These anecdotes suggest that the role could carry prestige when executed well. A strong voice and memorable delivery turned a routine duty into a recognized civic contribution. The historicity of these stories varies. Court chronicles often mixed observation with moral instruction, and tales of rulers patrolling in disguise appear across many cultures. Historians treat them cautiously, not always as literal transcripts, but as indicators of political ideals. They highlight expectations placed on leadership, vigilance, accessibility, and protection of religious life. Even if some details were polished by later writers, the persistence of such narratives points to the recognized importance of the pre-dawn caller. What makes the pre-dawn caller notable is the civic intelligence behind the role. Even though the formal call to prayer already existed, Muslim cities developed additional community practices to help people wake before Fajr for suhoor. Long before electricity, they built a functioning alert system through sound, memory, and communal responsibility. Modern reminders now arrive through phones and automated schedules, yet the principle remains ancient. A society that organizes itself so its people do not miss an act of worship or the pre-dawn meal that prepares them for the fast. The tradition has not disappeared. Variations still operate in parts of the Muslim world, where a pre-dawn caller walks residential streets beating a drum and calling sleepers to rise. In many places, the role continues less from necessity and more from cultural continuity. Most residents already set alarms, yet the familiar rhythm signals that Ramadan has begun. It strengthens neighborhood identity, connects families to inherited practice, and gives younger generations a living encounter with history rather than a distant account. If you found this video beneficial and want more content like it, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps bring forward more stories from history that deserve attention. Turn on notifications so you do not miss future uploads.